welcome to ERi-TV English News Broadcast. From the broadcasting crew and myself, a very warm wish for a happy and joyful Eid al-Fitr al-Mubarak to all Eritreans living in the country and abroad, and especially the faithful. With that spirit, let's begin with the top stories of tonight. Eid al-Fitr al-Mubarak celebrated nationwide. Sports competitions of Rapid Deployment Command commences. U.S. considers lifting sanctions on some Iranian oil. And Malawi says 25 dead in days of heavy rain and floods. Welcome again. In today's domestic news, Eid al-Fitr al-Mubarak of the 1447 Hijra year was colorfully celebrated nationwide today, March 20th. The event was attended by senior government and PFDJ officials, members of the diplomatic corps, as well as a number of the faithful. Salat prayer led by Sheikh Salim Ibrahim al-Mukhtar, Mufti of Eritrea and Chairman of the Higher Assembly of Eritrean Iftah and Islamic Affairs, was conducted at Baht Maskaram Square in the capital. On the occasion, Sheikh Salim Ibrahim al-Mukhtar gave a briefing on the background of the holiday and wished a happy Eid to the people of Eritrea at home and abroad, especially to the followers of the Islamic faith and members of the Eritrean Defense Forces. The entire event was broadcast live on ERi-TV and Radio Dims Hafash. Eid al-Fitr al-Mubarak was also colorfully celebrated in other cities, semi-urban centers and villages across the country. In another news, sports competitions of the Rapid Deployment Command of the Eritrean Defense Forces commenced on 16 March. The opening event of the competitions was attended by General Philip Oswalde Johannes, Chief of Staff of the Eritrean Defense Forces, along with senior military commanders. The sports competitions, which will continue for about 2 months, includes football, volleyball, athletics, target shooting, basketball, cycling and swimming competitions, among others. The promotion unit of the Rapid Deployment Command indicated that strong competitiveness is expected as strong teams and outstanding sports people are taking part. The opening event was highlighted by cultural programs and an exhibition. Moving on, Ambassador Sophia Tesamaria, permanent representative of the state of Eritrea to the United Nations, addressed the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, which convened in New York from 9 to 20 March. Ambassador Sophia said that at a time when conflicts and geopolitical tensions remain widespread, the principles of international law are too often challenged, undermining deployment, threatening peace and stability, and disproportionately affecting the lives and aspirations of women and girls. Ambassador Sophia went on to say that the priority theme of this year's session, ensuring and strengthening access to justice for women and girls, calls upon all actors to move beyond commitments and translate these principles into meaningful action through equitable and accessible legal systems. Noting that the government of Eritrea has placed gender equality at the core of its national legal and institutional architecture, Ambassador Sophia said that following independence, Eritrea undertook early legal reforms to repeal discriminatory colonial laws and establish equality before the law as a fundamental national principle. These reforms established equal rights in marriage and family law, guaranteed women's equal access to and control over land and productive resources, strengthened labor protections, ensured equal nationality transmission to children, and advanced the protection and dignity of women through progressive legislation. Proclamation number 158/2007, which prohibits female genital mutilation, stands among the earliest comprehensive legislative bans in the region and reflects Eritrea's commitment to safeguarding the health, dignity, and bodily integrity of girls and women. Concluding her remarks, Ambassador Sophia reiterated that to ensure access to justice for all citizens, the Ministry of Justice continues to expand community councils and courts across the country. These institutions are valued for their accessibility, their proximity to communities, and their culturally grounded approach to dispute resolution, bringing justice closer to citizens. Women play an active role within these community structures, contributing to mediation, conflict resolution, and legal awareness, thereby strengthening trust between institutions and the communities they serve. In another news, Students' Week and the Indamaso Award have been carried out in Tsarona sub-zone under the theme Our Culture, Reflection of Our Values and Identity. The event featured cultural and artistic programs as well as displays of innovation and creativity. Mr. Abraham Tesamaria, head of the National Union of Eritrean Youth and Students in the sub-zone, said that the annual Students' Week is a program through which the rich culture of the society is reflected and the psychological and physical condition of students is observed and assessed. He also commended all those who contributed to the successful implementation of the program. Mr. Girmay Gabru, head of the National Union of Eritrean Youth and Students in the southern region, called for coordinated efforts to enable the youth to play their due part in transferring the noble societal values and culture. Mr. Haile Mengesha, acting administrator of the sub-zone, on his part, called for strong participation in strengthening the organizational capacity of the youth so that they can effectively contribute to development programs. At the event, the Indamaso Award was provided to outstanding students who scored high marks in the 8th grade national examination of the 2024-2025 academic year. Do stay tuned, dear viewers, for we shall be back with the international news after the short break. Welcome back. Our international news begins with the crisis in the Middle East. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel will hold off attacks on Iranian gas fields after being asked by US President Donald Trump. Overnight blasts have been heard in Jerusalem and the Iranian capital Tehran. Elsewhere, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Bahrain all reported missile drone attacks. Qatar's energy minister says its liquefied natural gas export capacity will be reduced by 17% over the next 5 years as a result of the Iranian attack on the Ras Laffan facility. Meanwhile, the US is considering lifting sanctions on some Iranian oil as it scrambles to contain the impact of its war in Iran on energy markets. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent put forward the idea, saying it could make more oil available to global buyers. Around the world, energy prices are shooting up as the war takes a toll on shipping and production. The proposal follows other US efforts to boost supply, including the release of millions of barrels of oil reserves and the suspension of some sanctions on Russian oil last week. About a fifth of the 100 million barrels of oil that the world consumes every day usually travels via the Strait of Hormuz. But since the war began at the end of February, shipping in the channel has become to a halt. While some of the barrels being transported through the strait have been successfully rerouted, experts still estimate that the war has knocked about a tenth of the world's supply out of the market. Concerns about the situation have increased as damaging tit-for-tat attacks on a key gas fields raise the risk that capacity for providing fossil fuels could be constrained for years, even if the conflict is resolved relatively quicker. In today's final report, Malawi's government said on Thursday that at least 25 people have died after 4 days of heavy rain and flooding across the southern African country. The Department of Disaster Management Affairs said it had received preliminary reports from 16 of Malawi's 36 councils, with 9,598 households affected so far. 12 evacuation camps have been set up in 6 councils, and aid distribution to affected families has begun. The department said it was seeking financial support and technical assistance from local and international partners as search and rescue operations continue. It added that livestock and crops, including tobacco, have been washed away in some areas. Malawi is one of the world's largest producers of tobacco, and the crop is the country's main export. According to reports, the Southern Africa region in general, and Malawi, Zimbabwe and Mozambique in particular, are regions heavily affected by climate change. This wraps up our domestic and international news for this session. Dear viewers, once more the top stories. Eid al-Fitr al-Mubarak celebrated nationwide. Sports competitions of Rapid Deployment Command commences. In our international, U.S. considers lifting sanctions on some Iranian oil. And Malawi says 25 dead in days of heavy rain and floods. This was The World on Friday with ERi-TV English news broadcast. Viewers, from all of us here, thank you for watching. Have a good night.